Good morning, and thank you all for joining us at RWM. I'm Steve Goff, and I'd like to welcome you to the packaging sector overview session. Valpak's delighted to be sponsoring this theatre again, and Valpak's now part of the Reconomy Group. I've just got a few words from Reconomy that I'd like to say right at the start. Myself and everyone at Reconomy Group extend our condolences and deep sympathy following the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Our thoughts are with King Charles and the royal family at this time. We join those paying tribute to Her Majesty's lifetime of service and to the United Kingdom and Commonwealth, and know that her passing will be felt keenly by many across the world. Reconomy Group's UK businesses will be observing the bank holiday for the state funeral on Monday the 19th of September, so that our employees can mark Her Majesty's passing and commemorate her reign. Thank you. So, I'd just like to say a few words about the Reconomy Group and where Valpak fits into the group. Reconomy Group is a technology-based enabled service provider helping businesses around the world to improve their ESG outcomes and embrace a circular economy. This is delivered through three integrated and complementary verticals: recycle, compliance, and reuse. You can see the many leading brands within the group here, with Valpak forming part of the Comply division. If you want to find out more about the Reconomy Group and Valpak and its comprehensive set of solutions, please do visit the stand just over there, and we're delighted to talk to you. So with Valpak being part of the Reconomy Group, we thought we knew lots about the packaging sector, and we've had a long history in it, but we're also learning as being part of the group. So our sister company RLG are developing the software for Circularity Scotland Limited for the Scottish Deposit Return System. And in our recycle division, ACM are developing reverse vending machines to support DRS. So the breadth of the company is increasing, and the experience and reach that Valpak has within the group is also improving over time as we understand various aspects of the packaging sector that we've not come across before. So, I joined Valpak back in 2000 as IT director, and I've met a few people over the years that have said, I went into the waste recycling sector, was only going to do a few months of a project, and 20 odd years later, they're all still in it, me included. So, but since 2002, I've been either operations director or chief exec at Valpak, so I've seen an enormous amount of the packaging sector over that period. And during that period, there have been a number of changes and challenges for the sector. But I think the combination of factors right now is one of the most challenging I've come across, in my opinion. So the amount of change that we're seeing with legislation and the challenges that we're seeing with market conditions at the moment caused by umpteen external factors. One of the things that we're doing is an end market assessment at the moment. So our consulting and procurement teams are constantly looking to see where material can actually go and is it reliably going to find a home. We're hearing about 19 paper mills across Europe that are looking to have extended breaks, and this is partly due to massive energy cost increases and partly due to slight downturns in expected demand as the impact of the energy costs hits consumers. So we're constantly monitoring that situation because obviously material needs a home. On a positive note, regarding plastic packaging, I'm delighted to see for the past few quarters that for the first time in the UK's history, we've seen more material handled in the UK than going to export. And this is a sort of fantastic achievement made by the whole sector to achieve this. And I know we focus at Valpak very heavily on UK supply for our evidence for our members, and in 2021 we got to 70% of our evidence being from the UK, and that's our highest ever as well. So the plastic sector is doing very well. I was just talking to a guy beforehand today. One of the bizarre impacts of the energy issues and the war, etc., with the pound falling, makes product exports easier. So when you're recycling goods in the UK and then can export the products and continue to find markets, it's sort of a weird dynamic that's happening at the moment that people don't necessarily realise. But all of these interactions are managed by various parties throughout the chain, trying to make the whole system work on an ongoing basis. When we've been looking at end markets, we're now aware of further export restrictions being put in place, and I think we'd all agree that we want as tight a control on exports as possible. But what it's leading to is the requirement for pre-notification of certain loads that didn't before. So I think no one's disagreeing with it, but what it's saying is yet another operational change on top of energy, on top of everything else that's happening at the moment. So obviously coming from Valpak, you'd expect me to mention PRNs as sort of in our DNA. We were very pleased to see that the PRN system is going to continue through the EPR regime. But of course, it needs work. It needs to be strengthened. And from a personal perspective, I've sat on the advisory committee for packaging, which Deep is now chairing our next speaker. So I was on there from 2005 to about 2015. So I did a long stint on there. And over that period, market conditions would throw up, and people would come and make representations to the ACP about kinds of things that they'd see improving in the system. And for me, over all of those years, and even now, I think the one thing that I wish the government would do in that is actually put a compliance fee in place, like we have in the WE scheme. Because you've got a balanced market in general, with obligations and supply of evidence matching, but then world events happen. And it's really, as a compliance scheme, you can't control world events. And so at times, you need something to take the heat out of the PRN market. And that would be my one wish for government to say, as part of the legislation review, please consider putting that in. I'm aware that PRNs are operating at a very high level compared to history at the moment, and that's putting pressures on our customers, the producers, on top of energy costs and on top of anything else. So as I was saying, we seem to have a number of things coming together that are really challenging. So cover the compliance fee, but just thinking about the legislative regime that we're looking at going forwards, again, I think this is the biggest changes that the sector's ever seen. And with those changes, things like the packaging tax, extended producer responsibility, and DRS coming in, the one thing that we observe as a business is that when costs start to increase, and these regimes will increase costs, there's three things that people want. They want to scrutinise the bills and find out why it's going up, to understand what measures can be taken to address those bills going up, and then they want data, because without the data, you can't do the measurement and the management and the improvement. So getting and managing data is something that we've been doing for years at Valpak. We've now got about 100 staff managing and doing legislative returns for people, and people have to do those legislative returns, and that's why our market exists. But that's not why we exist as a business, because what we want to do is take that data that people have to collect, reflect it back to them, analyse it, and give it them as a force for good for saying, okay, so we see what our footprint is now. What we want to do is use that data for improvement and optimisation going forwards. And I think with these increased costs that are coming, that desire to make those changes will accelerate. And I think the improvements that we will see will probably come on the back of it. So my final thought prior to handing over to Deep is that the policy changes we're about to see will undoubtedly have a positive impact on the environment. These are big regimes that are coming up, affect all parts of the supply chain, and we are going to see improvements. But what we will need to make them work properly are clear rules and quality data, and that's been true for all compliance regimes over the years. So we've got a number of detailed sessions coming up on the various topics that Deep is now going to cover across all of these different regimes that are coming up for change. I'd encourage you to come back and have a look at those. But now I'd like to hand over to Deep Sagar for his thoughts and an overview of the sector as well. So Deep Sagar has been chairing the Advisory Committee on Packaging, which advises all 4 UK administrations on packaging waste and recycling. He's been doing this since October 2020. He was a senior manager in marketing, logistics and general management in packaged goods, multinational companies like Coca-Cola and Unilever. So, thank you, Deep.
Thank you.